Welcome to another edition of the Bleav in Steelers show, flying solo today. My name is Mark Bergin. I am your host. A quick podcast today. The Steelers signed cornerback Cam Sutton after his release from the Detroit Lions. Also, former Steelers cornerback Steven Nelson is retiring. Training camp dates are set as well. We'll discuss here on today's episode of the Bleav in Steelers show. Before we get too far along, though, I've got to pay the bills. And today's episode of the Bleav in Steelers show is brought to you by BetOnline.ag. We're into the NBA Finals, into the Stanley Cup Final. BetOnline is your number one source for both of those things. Every stat, every matchup, live odds, spreads, while the games are being played. When the game's over, you can check out the online casino, blackjack, poker. There's more than 150 slot games as well. Head over to betonline.ag today. Use our promo code BLEAV. You can see that on your screen right now. That's BLEAV to receive your 50% welcome bonus on your first deposit. BetOnline, the game starts here. Steelers are signing Cam Sutton. And I want to start this discussion with the reason he's even available is the release from the Lions earlier this offseason. An issue for an arrest warrant for a domestic battery charge. He didn't turn himself in to the Hillsborough County Sheriff's Office in Florida for weeks. It's a very serious charge, but he's settling this through a pretrial diversion program. So there was a warrant issued for his felony arrest. Again, it's not to underscore the seriousness of the charge, domestic violence as well. Very serious situation. But the Steelers get, when all of that clears, and people make mistakes, they deserve second chances. When all of that clears, the Steelers are getting a starting caliber cornerback for very, very, very cheap. And this goes back to the contractual value and how General Manager Omar Khan understands this. So he was making an average of $11 million per season with the Detroit Lions for how he played for the first 6 years of his career in Pittsburgh. The Steelers, his cap hit is less than $1 million and his base salary is $1.2 million. You're getting a starting cornerback who can play on the outside. He can play in the slot. He was that nickelback playmaker for the Steelers in the 2022 season after Mike Hilton went to Cincinnati. And so you had Joey Porter Jr., Dante Jackson. You needed another cornerback, and you solved that need on the field. Again, that's not to shortchange what he's done off the field, but on the field, I've been watching Cam Sutton since my time starting my broadcasting career in Knoxville, Tennessee at WBIR when Cam Sutton was a standout player for the Tennessee Volunteers. He comes into the Pittsburgh Steelers, makes plays, goes and gets a huge contract with the Detroit Lions. He started every single game for Detroit this past season, but you have off the field incident and maybe the on-field production wasn't there for Detroit to say, hey, we're going to cut our losses. The Steelers are notorious, though, for giving players multiple chances. And they can do that because they have a guy named Mike Tomlin running the show. And this is where he earns his bones. And here's what I mean here. Back in the day, you had the issues with Antonio Brown and Ben Roethlisberger and Le'Veon Bell. Mike Tomlin gave a lifeline to Brian Flores when he was ostracized by the league, when he filed that lawsuit against the league, when he didn't get a head coaching position. It was Mike Tomlin who says, you know what? I'm comfortable enough to give him a lifeline. And I think that's what the Steelers are doing here. Because you know what? If it doesn't work out and if he does slip up again, with that base salary of less than $1 million, you can cut ties immediately. But at 29 years old, when Cam Sutton's supposed to be making $11 million per season with the Lions, from the pure football standpoint, that's why this deal makes a lot of sense. And the Steelers needed a cornerback. I look across the division. Baltimore's loaded up with weapons now. 2 stud tight ends, King Henry in the backfield. You actually have a competent receiver in Zay Flowers for Lamar Jackson now. I look at Cincinnati with their duo that they have over there, Jamar Chase, T. Higgins. And then Cleveland, too, I'm never going to sleep on Amari Cooper. And so you needed another cornerback. I like Joey Porter Jr. Dante Jackson's been a starter for the last several seasons in Carolina. You're going to be in your nickel package with 5 defensive backs on the field, or your dime package with 6 on the field, with how the NFL's played now. You talk about a base 3-4 defense. Teams run multi-receiver sets now in 2024 and beyond with how offense is played in the NFL. So these are just all of my thoughts with Cam Sutton and the signing and the return to Pittsburgh. Is again, he's going to be he entered a pretrial diversion program in April. And so we don't know as much about the case. The one thing I don't know either is if Detroit was able to void that $11 million guarantee for the 2024 season. But again, Pittsburgh's cap hit for Cam Sutton is less than $1 million. And the Steelers, again, are notorious for bringing in players who have had problems. They get right, they stay out of trouble, and they make plays. And he did that both on the outside and at the nickel position, which is something that Pittsburgh desperately needed going into this season. And now your biggest void at this point is who the receiver 2 is behind George Pickens, because this was a big one of we don't have the depth at the cornerback position. Now you at least got 3 guys that can do the job in Cam Sutton, and Joey Porter Jr., and Dante Jackson at the cornerback position. Training camp dates are out for the Pittsburgh Steelers. Always an exciting time in Latrobe. Steelers will kick off training camp Saint Vincent College. Players report on July the 24th. This is the 57th year that Saint Vincent College will be the Pittsburgh Steelers summer home. First practice, open to the public July the 25th. Always interesting when pads get on. The first padded practice is July the 30th. And then the Friday night lights practice, always a highlight of camp at Latrobe Memorial Stadium, August the 2nd as well. Final practice will be August 14th. Admission to these is free, but attendees have to have a mobile ticket. And so, again, starts on the 25th. You've got the Friday night lights on August the 2nd. Final training camp practice on August the 14th. Football season's almost here. I know it's only June. We've got minicamp this week starting tomorrow for the Steelers, but it's going to be here before you know it. And you look at the quarterbacks, that's probably going to be the thing that you're most interested in, because Russell Wilson, Justin Fields weren't on the roster a season ago. How that battle goes, again, I've been on the record since this happened. Russell Wilson's going to be your week 1 starter, but it's going to be awesome to watch. And I'm telling you, this is going to just fly by. I'm not trying to wish my summer away by any means, but we get closer and closer to September, closer and closer to the start of the 2024 season, and closer, hopefully, to playing competent offensive football. Mike Tomlin, Arthur Smith and company in this revamped offense. Can it really get any worse than it's been the last several seasons? It is certainly an exciting time. And we've had a lot of people, a lot of guests here on Bleav in Steelers. And the thing that they always tell us is, look, people all over the country can go to these exotic vacations. You can go to the Caribbean. You could go to Mexico. You could go to a beach somewhere. The people in Pittsburgh, what they do for their vacation, their summer break, is they go see the Steelers play an hour away in Latrobe. That's what they do. And the access and the ability to be able to connect with players, with coaches, and that proximity, and the fact that it's free as well, is something that's really special to see, and to be able to have that almost like you're in the backyard type feel, to be up close with a lot of players where it's like you see the size and speed, and it's really, really exciting before the start of the season. Again, Steelers start minicamp this week on Tuesday. So keep an eye out there. Final topic of the show, quick pod today. Former Steelers cornerback Steven Nelson's retiring after 9 seasons in the NFL. And he played opposite. He's most known for, he played opposite Joe Hayden in his 2 seasons with the Pittsburgh Steelers. And he had 3 interceptions for the Steelers, 17 pass breakups. He was released in the summer of 2021. And again, I know Joe Hayden is the guy who played on the left side at his stage of the career, because most quarterbacks are right-handed. Opposite that was Steven Nelson, was just a very sure tackler. Started his career with the Kansas City Chiefs, drafted out of the 3rd round out of Oregon State. He got a 3-year, $25 million deal with the Steelers. Again, only 2 seasons with Pittsburgh. Played for the Eagles for a season, played for the Texans as well. And he'll retire now, only 31 years old, but at the cornerback position, and then 9 seasons in the NFL. That's a heck of a career. And that's Steven Nelson. 13 career interceptions, 78 pass breakups, 456 tackles, and then saying he wants to spend more time with family. And certainly I understand that. Coming off a season, though, in Houston, team that made the playoffs in 2023, second on the team in interceptions with 4, had 12 pass breakups as well. Caught an interception in the Texans wildcard win over the Cleveland Browns as well. So this is a player who I think still had gas left in the tank if he wanted to play. But after 9 seasons, it's like, you know what? That's more than twice as long than your average career of, say, 3 or 4 years. So happy trails in retirement to Steven Nelson, a solid player in the NFL. Solid player, solid career at the cornerback position. Again, my name's Mark Bergin. This has been a solo edition of Bleav in Steelers. Ike Taylor, my co-host, will be at minicamp this week, so I'm very excited to see what his observations, what he sees, what he hears while he is there at minicamp. In the meantime, if you enjoyed this podcast, if you're listening on Apple or Spotify, go leave us a 5-star review. And if it's good enough, maybe we'll read it here on the show. On YouTube, hit that subscribe button here on my channel, Mark Bergin, and then check out the Bleav Network as well. We've got shows for all 32 teams in the NFL. So we'll have you covered as teams throughout the league have their mini camps, what the storylines are going in there as we inch closer and closer to the start of training camp. You get into preseason, again, the regular season. I know it's only June. It's going to be here before you know it. Again, my name is Mark Bergin. Thanks so much for watching Bleav in Steelers. I'll see you next time. Until then, take care and so long, everybody.